welcome to this deep dive. Today we're really digging into something crucial for any architecture firm's success online. We're talking about pricing strategy, whether you see yourself as high-end luxury or maybe more accessible, and how that absolutely has to connect with your online message, your SEO. Get this wrong, and well, you could be missing out on your ideal clients.
That's absolutely right. Your price, it isn't just a figure on an invoice. Think of it more like a powerful signal. It tells potential clients, and maybe even more importantly, it tells Google right away where you fit in the market, what kind of value you offer, and frankly, how trustworthy you appear.
Yeah, and this is where we see a lot of firms, maybe without realizing it, putting up roadblocks. Studios aiming for those really big, high-profile projects, but then their website, their whole online vibe, it speaks a totally different language. It's all about affordability, maybe speed.
Or the reverse too. You might see firms projecting this air of extreme exclusivity.
Yeah.
Maybe their actual operations, their digital setup, it doesn't quite back that up.
So the risk here, it's not just sending mixed messages, right?
No, it goes deeper. It actively works against what you're trying to achieve. It confuses the exact clients you want to attract, makes your unique value proposition kind of blurry, and it definitely erodes that authority and trust, which are just vital in architecture and design. Plus, and this is our big focus today, this kind of misalignment can really, really hurt your SEO. It stops you from connecting with the right people searching online.
Okay, so our mission today is to cut through that confusion. We're going to explore exactly how these pricing decisions directly impact your SEO, how well you attract the clients you actually want, and just the overall health of your brand. We want to give you that clear understanding so you can build a really strong, consistent message everywhere.
So let's start by maybe defining these two ends of the spectrum we're talking about. Luxury pricing. What is that really about?
At its core, it's about exclusivity. It's about delivering exceptional, proven outcomes. Clients who go this route, they expect a really high-touch, personalized relationship. They see your expertise as, pretty irreplaceable.
Right. And on the flip side, you have commodity pricing. That's more focused on.
That's more about being accessible, often using, streamlined processes, maybe automation, to handle a higher volume of projects. The focus shifts towards efficiency, repeatable deliverables, maybe more transactional relationships, standardized packages, high throughput.
Okay, so it's not just about the final price tag. Not at all. What's really critical to get is that these are fundamentally different ways of operating. A luxury firm, they need to invest heavily in top talent, bespoke workflow, that real white glove service. A commodity model, though, prioritizes efficiency, maybe using tech, standardized systems to manage more work. And this operational difference, it dictates the messaging you need, and crucially, the completely different sets of keywords you should target for SEO. They're just different games.
Okay, let's talk about where it goes wrong then. Picture a firm, they dream of landing these, amazing landmark projects, but their website is peppered with things like free consultation or affordable design services. What's happening there?
Exactly. That free consultation, it seems harmless, maybe even friendly, right?
Yeah.
But for high-end architectural work, it can actually sort of cheapen that first contact. It suggests your initial time, your strategic thinking doesn't have inherent value right off the bat. And highlighting affordable, well, that immediately slots you into the cost-conscious bracket, which is usually the opposite of where a luxury-focused firm wants to be found.
And that disconnect, it ripples out, doesn't it? Affects how people see the brand.
Absolutely. When your marketing copy, your site structure, the keywords you're chasing, when they don't genuinely reflect that premium value you're aiming for, you risk losing credibility. And crucially, you risk losing client trust. High-end clients, they're savvy. They look for signals of excellence, exclusivity, not necessarily budget deals.
And this mismatch, it's not just putting off clients. You're saying it confuses Google too?
It absolutely throws Google off. You have to remember Google's algorithms, they categorize your site based on the signals they receive.
Wow.
The actual words you use, the site structure, who links to you, how people interact with your pages. Google doesn't know what you want to be. It only knows what your signals say you are. So if your online footprint constantly shouts low prices, high volume, Google will start associating you with those terms.
Which leads to the wrong kind of traffic.
Exactly. You end up getting found for searches related to affordability, attracting maybe looky-loos or price shoppers, not the decision makers searching for high-level expertise using terms like award-winning architect or specialist sustainable design firm. You rank poorly for the keywords that actually matter for luxury projects.
Okay, let's drill into that SEO interpretation a bit more. If a site keeps using phrases like, say, budget architect or lowest price plans, maybe cheap drafting services, what's the direct message to Google?
You're essentially training Google. You're teaching its algorithm to connect your brand, your firm, with searches driven purely by cost. Those keywords act like signposts. They tell Google, hey, send us the people looking for the cheapest option. So this keyword mapping, it gets you visibility, sure, but for high volume, generally low value queries. You might see site traffic go up, but it's likely people just comparing prices, not the serious clients you actually want.
So what about the firm that tries to play both sides? They advertise premium design, but maybe they use some of those discount-focused SEO terms just to get clicks.
Oh, that's usually a recipe for frustration, really.
Right.
Those discount keywords might pull some visitors in, yes. But when those visitors land on your site
Yeah.
and see pricing that's way out of line with their bargain hunting expectation.
They leave quickly.
Exactly. High bounce rates, low time on site. And those metrics, they signal to Google that your page isn't relevant for those searches. It tells Google, this result didn't satisfy the user looking for cheap options. So ultimately, it damages your authority in Google's eyes. It's like trying to speak two languages at once, and neither Google nor the user understands clearly.
It's fascinating how price works psychologically, especially in our field. What is price really saying to a potential client in architecture?
Yeah, in architecture and design, price is this really powerful, often unspoken communicator. It signals your firm's perceived position in the market. It suggests demand for your services, your capabilities. Luxury pricing, typically it signals credibility. It suggests you have the capacity, the resources, the team to handle significant complex projects. Often, clients looking for that top-tier expertise see a higher price as, well, validation, proof of that expertise.
And conversely, what does a really low price point signal to those same discerning clients? It's probably not a great deal, is it?
Unlikely. Very low pricing can actually trigger skepticism. It might make potential clients question things like the quality of your work, your actual experience level, whether you have the resources, your overall reliability. They might wonder, are they cutting corners somewhere? Is the service going to be substandard? Especially in architecture, where the client's investment is huge and the stakes are really high.
Okay, and what about discounting? Offering lower fees? How does that land in professional services?
Well, it's different from retail, where everyone expects sales, right? In service businesses like ours, offering discounts can sometimes carry a different implication. It might suggest to a prospect that you're maybe underbooked, or perhaps even a bit desperate for the work.
Rather than just being generous.
Exactly. It can subtly undermine the idea that your standard fees reflect your true value. Plus, it sets a precedent. Offer a discount once, and clients might just expect it again down the line, making it harder to command your full rate later.
And you mentioned premium clients might actually filter out low-priced firms early. Why would they do that?
Well, think about it from their perspective. These projects often involve massive financial commitment and sometimes reputational risk, too. They're looking for a partner they can absolutely trust, someone with a solid track record, a strong team, the financial stability to see it through. A very low price can be a red flag. It might make them assume you lack the necessary resources, or maybe you don't have deep enough expertise, or perhaps there's even financial instability. They might just conclude they can't possibly deliver the quality and service we need at that price.
Right, which brings us neatly to the hidden dangers of discounting. It's not just about the immediate hit to revenue. What are the less obvious problems, particularly for SEO and reputation?
Yeah, when you make discounts a regular feature, seasonal deals, limited time offers, it does have this lasting effect. It fundamentally resets client expectations about your value. And just as importantly, it trains Google to associate your brand with variable, negotiable worth. You're essentially signaling our services aren't always worth the full price.
And the clients you attract with these strategies, they tend to be different.
Often, yes. Discount-focused buyers, they tend to exhibit certain patterns. They might be more likely to haggle over fees later, request extras outside the agreed scope without wanting to pay more, maybe push for unrealistic timelines. Their decision-making can drag on, payment might be slower, and importantly, the referrals they give. They often refer other price-sensitive people, which just keeps you in that cycle of attracting clients focused on cost above all else.
So a firm that really leans into discount messaging in their ads, their blog posts, landing pages, they risk getting pigeonholed.
Absolutely. You effectively push your own firm deeper into that bargain basement category. And once you're there, it becomes incredibly difficult and often expensive to pivot and start attracting those high-value clients later. You need a major content overhaul, a real shift in perception, because you've basically taught your audience and Google that you're the budget option.
Let's think longer term. What are the implications for a firm's authority, its growth potential? when its online presence is just saturated with affordability talk?
Well, when your SEO content, the keywords you consistently target, are dominated by terms like affordable, budget, low cost, Google's algorithms, over time they will start to reclassify your brand. They'll see you primarily as a commodity provider. And this can stick, even if you later start publishing amazing case studies or articles showcasing deep expertise. That initial strong signal of being a budget player can be really hard to shake off in Google's index.
And what are the sort of concrete negative results of getting hit with this reputation penalty from Google?
The consequences are pretty significant. You'll probably see lower conversion rates on any premium leads that do find you because the overall messaging won't match what they're looking for. You'll feel downward pressure on your average project value because you keep attracting price-sensitive inquiries. And crucially for SEO, you'll likely see metrics like time on site and engagement drop, which hurts your rankings. Plus, your overall brand equity takes a hit and the quality of your referrals tends to decline. Discount buyers rarely refer high-value prospects.
Okay, so what's the path forward? How do firms make sure they're attracting the right clients and hitting their goals online?
The only way that really works long-term is crystal clear alignment. Your pricing strategy, how you position yourself in the market, your SEO tactics, and the actual content you create, all of it needs to sing the same song, consistently reinforcing the same core message about your value.
Can you give some specific pointers for firms on, say, the luxury end versus the commodity end?
Sure, for luxury brands, your SEO needs to be all about keywords reflecting deep expertise, proven outcomes, awards, thought leadership. Your content should explore complex design challenges, showcase innovation, really emphasize the unique strategic value you bring. On the other hand, firms offering more standardized commodity-type services should focus their keywords and messaging on clarity, maybe speed, efficiency, and the well-defined, predictable scope of their offerings.
And what about firms trying to be, well, a bit of both, maybe offering different tiers?
Offering, premium language mixed with affordability cues, that often leads to the worst outcome. It just creates confusion. Potential clients don't know what you really stand for. It dilutes your brand identity, and it results in poor SEO because you're sending completely mixed signals to Google about who you are and who you're trying to reach. You end up not ranking well for either segment.
So consistency across the board is absolutely paramount.
Without a doubt. Your case studies, they need to consistently show the value delivered at your typical price point. Client testimonials, they should directly address the benefits that justify your fees. Even technical blog posts should align. If you're luxury, technical content should show deep sophistication. If you're commodity, it might focus on efficient, standardized solutions. Everything needs to point in the same direction.
So just to be super clear, this isn't about deciding we're expensive or we're cheap. It's a deliberate, strategic choice about your market.
Exactly. Luxury pricing isn't just about being expensive. It's tied to your positioning, your brand's prestige, the exclusivity you offer. It's designed to attract those high-trust, low-friction clients who value expertise and outcomes above pure cost. They're willing to invest for that.
Whereas commodity pricing
is built around accessibility, efficiency, often relying on volume for profit. It's a perfectly valid strategy for productized services or standard plans if your entire operation is built to handle that scale effectively.
And the real danger zone, as we've hit on, is acting like a commodity brand online with your keywords, your messaging, but expecting luxury-level clients and projects.
That disconnect is where the confusion really sets in for clients and for Google's algorithms. You simply cannot credibly claim to offer bespoke, award-winning, highly strategic solutions.
And then lead with free consultation everywhere.
Precisely. The call to action doesn't match the supposed value. Your whole marketing approach has to align with your pricing. And that pricing needs to genuinely reflect the value you deliver day in, day out.
You made a strong statement earlier. Misaligned strategy isn't just a brand problem, it's an SEO catastrophe. Why use such strong language?
Because luxury and commodity pricing, they represent fundamentally different value propositions. Think of them as different languages. And Google, it's actually very good at understanding these languages based on the signals you send. So if your work is truly bespoke, strategic, high value, but your website SEO is screaming affordable, quick, any budget, you're fundamentally misrepresenting your firm to the search engine. You're telling Google, we're a volume player, not we're a high-value strategic partner.
And Google, as we know, takes those signals literally. It doesn't read between the lines.
Exactly. The algorithm isn't assessing the nuance in your beautifully written About Us page. It's primarily reading keywords, site structure, link profiles, user behavior. So if the dominant signals point towards budget, you'll likely end up ranking alongside drafting services or firms offering very basic, standardized plans.
Even if your copy says otherwise.
Right. You might think your eloquent descriptions make the distinction clear, but for Google, and often for that initial visitor glance, the overwhelming signal is price sensitivity.
And that disconnect has an immediate impact when those ideal high-value prospects do land on your site.
Oh, absolutely. They often bounce right off. The marketing message they see just doesn't mesh with the kind of investment and partnership they anticipate for their project. They're looking for signals of confidence, alignment, proof that your expertise warrants their budget. If the first thing they see is affordable or budget-friendly, many won't dig deeper. They disqualify you almost instantly based on that mismatch.
You also mentioned the flip side, luxury branding backfiring for a firm actually built for scale. How does that hurt SEO, even indirectly?
Yeah, if you market yourself as this ultra high-end, deeply bespoke creative studio, but your operational reality is geared towards more standardized processes, you create unmet expectations. Your sales cycle gets messy because you set an expectation of intense personalization that you can't actually deliver consistently. This leads to frustrated clients, maybe negative online reviews, poor word of mouth.
And those bad reviews and unhappy clients will not direct ranking factors.
They definitely harm your online reputation. That indirectly impacts SEO through things like reduced trust signals, lower click-through rates from search results because people see negative stars, shorter time on site as prospects get spooked by bad feedback, creates friction.
So bottom line, whichever path you choose, affordability or exclusivity, consistency is just non-negotiable.
Absolutely. If your keywords promise affordability, your service has to deliver on speed, volume, clarity. If your brand promises exclusivity and premium design, your content must consistently showcase vision, client outcomes, undeniable proof of excellence.
And trying to optimize for both accessibility and prestige at the same time just doesn't work.
It really doesn't. You end up getting lost. Google can't clearly figure out who you're for, so it doesn't know when to show your site. And potential clients, they're left confused about what you actually offer and where you fit. That lack of clarity just undermines everything.
It really hammers home why getting that pricing strategy defined clearly is step one for any effective SEO and architecture.
Exactly. Alignment isn't just nice to have in digital marketing for architects, it's absolutely fundamental. In professional services like architecture, engineering, design, offering a discount can inadvertently communicate that your service wasn't really worth the full price you stated initially. It's not like consumer goods where sales are just part of the cycle. In our world, it can raise questions. Are they underbooked? Are they maybe desperate? Are they not confident enough in their value to command their standard fee? It can chip away at trust.
So even those limited time offers need to be handled carefully.
Very carefully. Look, a strategically placed, infrequent offer might fit into a larger plan sometimes. But if discounting becomes a core part of your marketing message, it consistently risks eroding the very trust you need to build, especially with clients seeking high-value, long-term partnerships. They start wondering about the real value.
So the long-term damage goes way beyond just that initial price cut.
Way beyond. It really manifests in your SEO profile over time. If your blog posts, your landing pages, your ad copy are consistently peppered with deal, promo, save now, free consult, then those become the keyword clusters Google most strongly associates with your brand. So even when you later publish, say, a brilliant case study on a complex, high-value project, Google's underlying understanding of your firm is already skewed towards budget-friendly. That high-authority content might not get the traction it deserves because Google sees you as playing in a different league.
And digging out of that perception hole in Google's algorithm is tough.
It can be incredibly difficult, especially in architecture. Trust is everything here. Discounting fundamentally undermines that trust by suggesting your value is negotiable before the client even fully grasps their own needs or your unique ability to meet them.
Which explains why you rarely see true luxury brands offering sales.
Exactly. Their authority isn't just about the product or service, it's actively protected by their pricing discipline. It signals confidence and unwavering value. And that same logic holds true for architecture, for engineering, for any creative field, where the real product is strategic thinking, expertise, and tailored solutions.
Okay, let's try and boil this down. What are the absolute key takeaways from our conversation today?
4 main things. First, that fundamental choice between luxury and commodity pricing. It dictates everything. Client attraction, SEO rankings, the long-term value of your pipeline. Second, misalignment, where your price message and SEO don't match, it actively undermines your authority, kills trust, and sends the wrong kind of traffic your way, usually less profitable, high-churn clients. Third, relying heavily on discounts. It basically traps you in the budget segment, making it really tough to attract premium projects and leads later on. And finally, consistent alignment across pricing, keywords, and content. That's the only way to reliably rank for the right searches, build trust with decision makers, and get the margins you need to grow and innovate.
Okay, so based on all that, what are some concrete, actionable steps a firm listening right now could take?
Okay, practical steps. 1. Get really clear internally. Define your pricing strategy. Are you luxury, commodity, or something specific in between? Be honest. 2. Audit your current website and all your marketing stuff. Look for those inconsistencies between your pricing reality and your message. Are you saying one thing but pricing another? 3. Review your keyword strategy. Are the terms you're targeting actually aligned with your pricing model and the kind of client you want? 4. If you're aiming for premium clients, ruthlessly eliminate discount language affordable, free consult, lowest price from your core website content and ongoing marketing. And 5. Actively develop content, case studies, testimonials, thought leadership articles that powerfully supports your specific value proposition and justifies your pricing structure.
And if there's one thing listeners should do immediately after hearing this,
Start that analysis. Look hard at your current pricing and how it actually shows up online. Try to identify maybe 3 specific places right now where there might be a mismatch between your intended position and your digital reality.
this has been incredibly insightful, really drilling into that vital connection between how you price your services and how you show up online. The impact is clearly huge for architecture firms.
It really is. And look, this is just scratching the surface. We definitely encourage everyone to continue this journey with the next deep dive in our series, The Price You Pay, how price-based marketing undermines SEO for architecture firms.
Just remember, the goal here isn't just about playing the pricing game. It's about understanding that true value goes beyond a number. When you align your pricing, your message, and your online presence authentically, you're not just pleasing Google. You're building a brand that resonates deeply with the clients who truly value your unique expertise and are happy to invest in it. That alignment, that's really the key to unlocking your firm's future success.